Michael is horrified to discover the identity of Jacinda's bio-mother. Michael Corinthos thought he'd seen chaos in every form. He grew up in the shadow of Sonny's empire, survived kidnappings, betrayals, custody battles, and deaths that never stayed dead. But nothing, truly nothing, prepared him for the storm brewing around the woman who had unexpectedly entered all their lives.
Jacinda Marquez. Beautiful. Guarded.
Terrified of shadows that never quite left her eyes. She came to Port Charles claiming she didn't know her birth parents.
She came for medical help and a fresh start.
She came pregnant, with Drew Kane's child, and threw two families into panic. But now, weeks later, a new truth was clawing its way out of the dark, and Michael was the first to sense it.
It began with a phone call from Diane Miller.
"Michael," she said, her voice steady but urgent, "you need to come to my office.
Now.
Whatever you're doing, stop. This concerns Jacinda.
And you're not going to like it."
Michael felt a chill run through him.
Another secret? Another twist in the endless drama? He didn't know why he needed to be involved. Jacinda was connected to Drew, not him.
And yet, ever since the woman crashed Willow and Drew's wedding, claiming she was pregnant with Drew's child, Michael had felt her orbit pulling dangerously close to his family. And Willow, sweet, forgiving Willow, had tried to help Jacinda despite everything.
Now something was very wrong.
Michael arrived at Diane's office within 15 minutes. She stood behind her desk, arms crossed, face tight with concern.
A thick legal folder sat in front of her like a loaded weapon.
"Before I show you this," Diane said, "understand that I didn't go looking.
This fell into my lap.
Someone sent it anonymously."
Michael frowned.
"Sent what?"
She tapped the file. Jacinda's revised adoption records. The real ones.
Not the ones she grew up believing.
Something twisted in Michael's gut. "Why am I here, Diane?"
"Why not Drew?" "Because Drew's in California for a conference," Diane said. "And because, frankly, you're better at staying calm in a crisis."
Michael had to laugh.
"That is extremely debatable." Diane slid the folder across the desk. "The person listed as Jacinda's biological mother
is someone we know. Someone who has lied for decades."
Michael opened the file.
And froze.
"No," he whispered. "That's impossible." Diane looked at him with soft sympathy. "But it's true." The name burned from the page like fire. Biological mother, Nellie Benson Archer.
Michael's world tilted. His pulse roared. His hands shook. No, she died.
She didn't, she couldn't have had.
But he knew. Deep inside, he knew exactly how possible it was. And he felt horror rise like smoke. If the file was genuine, if Nellie had secretly given birth before she ever met him,
then Jacinda wasn't just some troubled stranger.
She was Michael's stepdaughter, Wiley's half-sister,
the living ghost of the woman who nearly destroyed their entire family.
"I want this verified," Michael said, voice raw.
"A DNA test, medical records, anything.
I can't just accept this." "Already in motion," Diane replied. "Jacinda's blood sample is being processed. We'll know within days."
"But Michael, it matches everything chronologically. Nellie gave birth at 16, surrendered the child through a private, sealed adoption arranged by a woman she trusted."
Michael swallowed hard.
"Who arranged it?"
Diane hesitated. "Someone else you know. And you're not going to like this part either."
Michael braced himself. "Nina Reeves." The air left his lungs.
Of course.
Of course Nina, the eternal emotional wildfire, would somehow be tangled in this. "She didn't know the child was Nellie's," Diane said quickly.
She was still in the dark about their connection.
Nina was told she was helping a troubled teenage girl escape her abusive adoptive father.
She believed she was doing something good. Michael pressed a hand to his forehead.
"So Nina Reeves, Wiley's grandmother, helped place Jacinda into adoption.
And now Jacinda is pregnant with Drew's child.
And she blew up my mother's wedding. This situation," Diane said gently, "is a tornado. And it's headed straight for your family."
Michael felt sick. A daughter of Nellie. A niece of Carly's worst nightmare.
A woman who stormed into Port Charles with hidden motives.
"How do I tell Willow?" he whispered.
"You wait," Diane said. "Until the DNA test confirms it. And then we figure out what it means." Michael shut the folder. But the truth was already unignorable.
Nellie's shadow was back. And this time, she brought a daughter. The news came 2 days later. Diane called him again.
DNA test confirms it, she said softly.
Jacinda is Nellie's biological daughter.
And Michael. Willow deserves to hear it from you.
Willow had just put Wiley to bed when Michael approached her.
Her quiet smile faded the moment she saw his face.
What happened? She asked. Is it Drew?
The baby?
It's Jacinda, Michael said.
Willow tensed.
She sat beside him, letting him take her hands. Willow.
Jacinda's biological mother is Nellie.
Willow blinked. Then blinked again. No, she whispered. No, Michael, Nellie? That doesn't. How? Why?
Michael explained everything. The adoption file, Nina's unwitting involvement, the DNA confirmation.
When he finished, Willow slowly shook her head. I should feel angry, she said quietly.
I should feel sick or terrified or furious.
But what I feel most is sad. Michael frowned. Sad. Willow wiped her eyes. If Jacinda is Nellie's first child, then she grew up without knowing she had siblings. Without knowing she had any chance to break the cycle.
Nellie never gave her a chance to escape that darkness.
Michael pulled her close. Willow's compassion humbled him.
She's pregnant, Willow whispered. Carrying Drew's baby. A baby who will be connected to Wiley through Nellie. That child deserves the truth. Jacinda deserves the truth.
Michael exhaled shakily. You're right. But we have to be careful.
Jacinda is unstable. She wasn't honest from the beginning.
Willow looked at him sadly. She's Nellie's daughter, Michael.
Lies were probably the only tool she grew up with.
He hated how accurate that sounded.
We need to tell Drew, Willow added.
He deserves to know who the mother of his child really is.
And Nina, Michael muttered. Willow's expression tightened. Nina is going to break.
Neither of them knew how right they were.
Nina Reeves sat at her Metro Court office reviewing menus when Michael told her the truth.
He didn't sugarcoat it. He placed the file in front of her. She opened it.
Read it.
And turned ghost white. Nellie had a daughter, she whispered.
Yes, Michael said. A daughter I helped place in adoption. You didn't know. Nina pressed a trembling hand to her mouth.
I might have seen her. I might have walked past her on the street. Oh God.
I had another daughter this whole time.
Michael froze. He hadn't even thought about that piece. Jacinda wasn't just Nellie's daughter. She was Nina's daughter too. Biologically. Genetically. Nina sank into the chair.
Tears streamed down her face. All the years I searched, all the pain, and she was alive.
She was out there.
I abandoned her without even knowing. Nina.
Does she know? Nina asked sharply.
Does Jacinda know?
No, Michael said. Not yet. Nina stood abruptly.
I need to find her.
You need to slow down, Michael said. Jacinda is emotionally volatile. She's pregnant. She crashed my mother's wedding.
She's been hiding this secret for years. She's my daughter, Nina snapped. Don't you understand?
My daughter.
I lost Nellie and Willow for decades. I will not lose Jacinda. Michael stepped in front of her. If you go after her without thinking, you'll push her away.
Nina's voice broke.
She has no idea she has a mother who loves her. That's not true, Michael said gently.
You're here now. And you'll tell her.
But not tonight.
Nina's shoulders sagged.
When Michael left, Nina clutched the file to her chest, sobbing like a woman who'd found her child only to realize she never really had her.
Jacinda Marquez sensed something was wrong. She'd been avoiding Drew since the wedding fiasco. Avoiding Willow. Avoiding everyone.
She lived at the safe house on Charles Street, courtesy of Sonny's reluctant generosity, and barely left except for doctor appointments.
But that night, something told her to pack her bags.
Her hands shook as she shoved clothes into a backpack. Someone knows, she whispered to her reflection. Someone found out. Her birth mother had warned her that secrets always rotted through the floorboards eventually. She never knew who her mother meant, only that her mother had died years ago.
But her last words had stayed. You come from darkness.
Don't let Port Charles swallow you too.
Jacinda had thought it was just poetry.
Now, it felt like prophecy.
She zipped her bag and headed for the door.
Only to find Michael Corinthos blocking her path.
Her stomach dropped.
Going somewhere?
Michael asked quietly. Jacinda's pulse pounded. Out, she said. I needed air. Not with a backpack. Jacinda exhaled shakily.
What do you want?
Michael stepped inside. We need to talk about your mother. Jacinda froze.
And Michael saw it, the terror, the recognition, the guilt. You know, Jacinda whispered.
Michael nodded. Jacinda backed away as though burned. No, you can't know.
You can't.
It's confirmed, Michael said gently.
DNA doesn't lie.
Jacinda's eyes filled with tears. My mother told me never to come here.
She said this place destroys people like us.
Who was your mother? Michael asked softly. Jacinda whispered the name with trembling lips. Nellie. Michael felt the floor tilt again. You knew?
Not at first, Jacinda said. Not until I was 15. My adoptive parents told me everything, about the private adoption, about her past, about how dangerous she was.
They said she came from Port Charles.
They said she was broken.
Michael swallowed hard.
And that's why you came here?
Jacinda shook her head. No.
I came here to warn Drew. Warn him.
Jacinda pressed a hand to her stomach.
Because history repeats itself. Nellie left destruction behind her. I didn't want her legacy to poison another child. Tears streamed down her face. But I think it's already too late. Michael softened his voice. Jacinda, you need to tell me everything.
Jacinda sank onto the couch, trembling.
My adoptive father died 6 months ago. Before he did, he gave me a letter from my birth mother, from Nellie.
She wrote it before she died.
She said she regretted everything she ever did. She said she wished she had given me a better life. And she wrote. Jacinda reached into her backpack and pulled out a folded, worn letter.
Michael took it gently.
The handwriting was unmistakably Nellie's. The letter was dated 2 days before Nellie's final showdown with Carly and Michael. Dear Jacinda.
You'll never know me. Maybe that's a good thing. I ruined every good thing I ever touched. I hope you are nothing like me. But if you ever find your way to Port Charles, don't trust them.
And don't trust any Corinthus.
Especially not Michael. He destroys everything he claims to protect.
If you get pregnant, run.
Break the cycle.
Be better than I ever was.
Nellie.
Michael lowered the letter.
A mix of fury and sorrow tore through him.
Nellie's ghost poisoned even from beyond the grave.
Jacinda hugged her stomach.
That's why I panicked, she whispered. Why I accused Drew at the wedding.
Why I ran. I thought
if I told the truth, you'd destroy my child the way Nellie believed you destroyed hers.
Michael kneeled in front of her.
Jacinda, listen to me.
Nellie was sick.
She was manipulative, unstable, and violent.
She tried to kill me. She tried to kidnap Wiley. She tried to frame my mother.
She lied every time she opened her mouth.
But she was still my mother, Jacinda whispered.
And I don't want her shadow on my baby. Michael took a slow breath. You don't have to be her. You don't have to carry her darkness. Jacinda lifted her eyes, vulnerable, terrified. Then what do I do? Before Michael could answer, the door burst open. Nina Reeves stood there, shaking, eyes red, hair windblown as though she'd run the whole way.
Jacinda, she whispered. Jacinda blinked. Who are you?
Michael stood up. Nina. Nina stepped forward, voice trembling with emotion. I'm your mother.
Jacinda froze.
Michael closed his eyes for a moment, bracing for impact. Jacinda stared at Nina, stunned.
My mother?
My mother is Nellie.
And I'm Nellie's mother, Nina said.
Which makes me yours too.
Jacinda's breath came out in a shaky gasp.
Nina approached her slowly, like she was afraid Jacinda would disappear if she moved too fast. I didn't know, Nina whispered.
I swear I didn't know.
I was kept in a coma for decades. I never got to raise Nellie. I never knew I had another daughter.
Jacinda backed against the wall. Why now?
Why are you saying this now?
Nina pulled out her own copy of the adoption report.
Because it's the truth. And because I will not lose you too.
Jacinda shook her head. No.
No, this is too much. Michael whispered. Jacinda, she's telling the truth. Jacinda looked between them, panic rising. All my life, she whispered, breathless, all I ever wanted was to know where I came from. And now you're telling me I come from liars, criminals, and broken people? That I'm part of 2 families who hate each other.
Nina reached out a hand.
You come from me.
Jacinda stared at her.
And then, without another word,
she ran. Out the door. Down the street. Into the night. Nina collapsed into a chair. Michael closed his eyes. The storm had fully broken,
and no one knew where Jacinda was going, or what she'd do next. Port Charles mobilized instantly.
Sonny put eyes on the streets. Dante alerted police units. Drew rushed home early from California. Willow called every shelter and clinic.
Nina called Valentin, Ava, Curtis, anyone who mattered.
But Jacinda was gone. Hours passed. Night deepened. Fear grew.
Michael blamed himself.
Willow tried to calm him.
You didn't scare her away. The truth did.
Nina blamed herself. I should have waited, she sobbed. I should have told her gently. I should have. Drew blamed no one.
I just want her safe, he said quietly.
She's carrying my child. They searched until sunrise. Still nothing.
Finally, at 7:13 a.m., Drew got the call.
A woman in distress had collapsed at Rice Plaza. Pregnant. Unresponsive.
Drew, Michael, Willow, and Nina rushed to General Hospital. Elizabeth Weber met them outside Trauma Room 3.
She's stable, Liz said. Dehydrated. Exhausted. Stressed almost to the point of fainting.
But the baby is fine.
Everyone exhaled.
You can see her one at a time, Liz said softly. She asked for Michael first.
Michael blinked. For me? Liz nodded.
She said she needed to tell you something.
Michael stepped inside the room.
Jacinda lay in bed, pale but awake, eyes hollow from tears.
He approached slowly.
Jacinda, we were worried.
She swallowed hard. I remembered something, she whispered. Michael frowned.
What do you mean?
Jacinda stared at the ceiling.
My adoptive mother, Mary, once told me something I didn't understand. Something she made me promise never to repeat.
Michael waited.
Jacinda turned to him, voice barely audible. She said my birth mother wasn't supposed to raise me.
She said someone else wanted me. Someone powerful.
Michael felt cold.
Jacinda continued.
She said the woman who arranged my adoption, Nina, wasn't working alone. Michael tensed. Who else was involved?
Jacinda's eyes filled with shadows.
My biological father.
Michael froze.
You know who he is?
Jacinda nodded.
My birth father is alive. Michael's breath caught.
Who? He whispered.
Jacinda's lips trembled. Ryan Chamberlain.
Michael staggered back.
No.
Jacinda nodded, tears spilling.
I am the daughter of Nellie Benson and Ryan Chamberlain. Michael felt the room tilt violently.
Nellie's madness. Ryan's sociopathy. Combined.
In Jacinda.
But I don't want to be them, she whispered desperately. Please, Michael. I want a different life.
I want my baby to have a different life.
Michael approached her slowly. He took her hand.
You will, he said firmly.
Because your parents don't define you. They can't.
Not anymore.
Jacinda sobbed.
Outside the room, Nina overheard, collapsing in shock.
Drew stared at her. Willow gasped softly.
The entire hospital hallway went silent. Later that day, Jacinda made a choice. I want to stay, she told Drew.
I want our baby to have a family.
A safe one.
Drew squeezed her hand.
You will. Nina stood in the doorway, eyes swollen from crying.
Jacinda, she whispered. I know I can't undo the past, but I want to try.
Jacinda hesitated, then nodded slowly. Michael and Willow stood behind them, offering unconditional, quietly supportive hope. Port Charles had weathered many storms.
This one was far from over.
But something new, fragile, but real, had begun.
Jacinda looked at Michael. Thank you, she said softly.
For not letting me run. Michael smiled gently. Welcome to the family.
And for the first time in her life, Jacinda Marquez felt like she might finally belong.